I think modern India is struggling. It's in a phase of change, and it's basically you have on one side all these Western influences coming, consumerism, demand for a better life, materialism, and on the same side you have a very traditional country which has a big tradition, culture, roots, parents, and I think the young generation is in a tussle with that, and that's what you'll often find in my books. It's about your parents telling you who to marry and the children saying no, we want to marry this person, or it's about the parents saying you need to do this morality wise with the boyfriends and girlfriends, or the younger generation saying no, we want to do it this way. So I think it's that tussle. If people were to look back at my writing, say a long time from now, they will probably find that it was an era where there was a lot of tussle between the old India and the new world that is trying to like blend in together.
Where do you find yourself?
I'm in that tussle too, but I think
Are you more towards the modern side?
I'm obviously a modernizer. The reason I'm talking about issues in my books is because I think some of the old traditions have to go, but at the same time I also know that you cannot have a society that completely changes and copies the West. That's no culture at all. If you forget your roots, that's also not good. So take the best of modern and take the best of tradition, and that I feel is where I am. It's not like I belong to a camp. I just want to take the best of. Why not?
Culture influence literature, according to Chetan, according to you?
I think literature is simply a rendition of culture on paper in words. That's to me the definition of literature is what is going around in a society is when you put it down in paper, that becomes literature. It can be good literature or bad literature, that's a separate thing, but it is a lot to do with what a society believes in, what are their values, how they behave, how they eat, what they celebrate, what they get upset about. So I think it's a reflection. I mean, literature is the stories, the context of every story. If it's a good story and if it's a story that has impact, will always have captured the culture of that generation or that era. If it's a cultureless story, it will not have it. Like for example, even a Harry Potter, which is a fictional fantasy world wizard school, even there she brings out the politics of the school system and the muggles and the blue blood versus the non-blue blood, because that's something that exists in English society, and that made the books more authentic. So I think, and for my books, it's very direct. It's really about issues that affect Indian society, our Indian culture. Each book is about an issue. So for me, culture is my food. Culture is the fuel for my stories.
The other half was, how do you translate those changing cultural values or dynamics into your work?
By challenging the conflict, by bringing out the conflict. See, whenever there is a traditional culture and there is a need for change, or there is a new generation which demands that we change that culture. See, culture is what people sometimes forget is culture is not fixed. What is happening in India now is not what was happening there 500 years ago. Same for Dubai. What is happening today is not what was happening 500 years ago. So there has been a change. So to say that culture cannot be changed is also not true. It's just that the pace at which it changes and what changes need to happen, that's always a matter of debate. So for me, I bring out in my stories what is the change that needs to happen in that culture.
It's a very personal
Well, they
question.
always say that you cannot hide yourself from the characters in your books, and I think it's to an extent true. I would say in my earlier books, I was there a lot, like a 5 point someone or even a 2 states. It's basically me. Some have said, like girls who know me, like I remember girls who works in my office, they read One Indian Girl and they said, Chetan, if you were a girl, this would be you. I don't know what they meant by that, but I guess they know me well and they saw that character and they said, this is you. I said, why? But she's a girl and she has a completely different priorities in life. They said, but I don't know. They felt that it's like a version of me. It's the female version of me. So maybe it's still there, even in my newer books. But I think you learn to mask it better. You learn to, as a writer, you learn to separate yourself from your characters. But it's there. I think you can never really disassociate the person from his work. It's the most satisfying book I've written, and I think it's the most, at least so far, it's the book I'm most proud of, because it's something which I know it seems deceptively simple, that book, but it's not a simple book to write, especially for a man. and the fact that women have read it and they like it, which means that it has worked. Largely the character worked and they related to it. I don't relate to Radhika because I am not Radhika and I'm not female, but I can have tremendous empathy for her. I can understand her point of view. I think it helped me learn women. It helped me understand women better. But to say that I am like Radhika and I have the same conflicts in love or things like that, that's not true. But what it has made me is it made me far more sensitive to what women are like. I mean, that's how they are, and they when we talk of equality, uh, it's just how women are like. You know, when they talk of equality, it doesn't mean women have to have identical needs or thoughts as men. It's just equality, as in they should have an equal chance as men to achieve what they want. So women and men want different things, and I am not Radhika in that way, but I'm empathy.
How has your experience been as a screenwriter, and how do you distinguish or define yourself as a screenwriter and a novelist versus the novelist?
I'm primarily a novelist. I like writing for the screen, but I like writing novels much more. I have far more control. The characters, the thoughts, each and everything. It's me who's deciding everything. Whereas in a film, the screenwriter is one of the components. There'll be a director, there'll be an actor, there'll be a producer, and frankly, on the day off, there will be a cinematographer, and there will be an art director who will decide the room, no matter how you've written it. So I think it's different. I've enjoyed writing for screen. It's a good change. It's something I do between novels, but it's not as satisfying as writing.
And you wouldn't want to take this route to give up novel writing and be a screenwriter?
No.
Because considering the expense of Indian film industry that is there.
Yeah, I mean, I love writing books, and I think my readers like reading my books, and I think they like unadulterated Chetan, and that's still there in novels. In the movie, it's not. It's Chetan is one of the ingredients in them. So it's one is like just dark chocolate, and the other is
Right.
dark chocolate yogurt. That can also be nice, but dark
There's a
chocolate,
difference,
there's
yeah.
a difference.
One last question. You are a prolific writer, and what can we expect from you in the future?
This Diwali, this October, I have another book which will come. I can't tell you details yet, but like all my books, it's different from what I've done before. There will be a number in the title. That's all.